all, and welcome to another episode of Not Between Sisters, not up for debate, but it's between family. And today's topic is not one of pop culture, but it is a serious topic because it is about brutality and something that has got to stop. Before we get into it, I just want to introduce our team, our squad, our crew. I'm Kaya. As always, I am here with my people, my family, my sisters and brother. And first was Shauna. Next in was Keish. Next in was EVE. And last but certainly not least, Uncle Nobi. All right, let's get into it. Our brother, Tyre Nichols, unfortunately was brutally murdered by 5 police officers. This has been happening too often within the US. And, before, most of these offenses have happened with predominantly white officers. This time, it wasn't a black cast. And this cast, 2 of these officers were a part of an elite squad that is called the Scorpion Squad, which the chief of police, CJ Davis, instituted in December of 2021 because of the fact that Memphis, Tennessee, their homicide rate was crazy. So in order to combat the amount of homicides and crime that they had within Memphis, she put together this elite unit called the Scorpion Unit, which is an acronym for Street Crimes Operation to Restore Peace in Our Neighborhoods. So the intent of the Scorpion Unit was a great thing to mitigate the amount of crime within the neighborhood because of violence and crime. 2 of these officers were a part of this unit. They became overwhelmed with their status, if you will, and they pulled over Tyre for allegedly driving recklessly. And after investigation from the department, from pulling cameras, from pulling body cam, from pulling footage from the town, there was no evidence to substantiate those claims from the officers. So these officers pulled him over, and then Tyre fled on foot. Then they pulled his plate and say, "Where does he live? Let's go find him." And then they met him within a few yards of his house, and they proceeded to beat this man. So all 5 officers were charged with 2nd-degree murder, aggravated assault, 2 charges of aggravated kidnapping, 2 charges of official misconduct, and 1 charge of official oppression.
Can we add the white officer that they just got because he was doing the taser? And then I'm going to add the 2 EMT officers that got there, or 3 EMT officers that got there. And they did not act because they were supposed to act off with just what, the taser?
Because they were told that it was due to a person being pepper sprayed.
Oh, pepper sprayed. Right. Sorry.
But I think it's important before we start the conversation to give this a little bit more of a context, because a former Memphis officer said that the Scorpion unit's training consisted of 3 days of PowerPoints, 1 day of suspect apprehension training, and 1 day at the firing range. That was all of the training that they had. So I just wanted to add that in because it shows such a bigger issue. Like, to work at McDonald's, like, you get days of training on a job. You get some of 3 days of a PowerPoint.
When I worked at the airport, when I worked for the bank, I got longer training. I got weeks of training.
This issue is so numbing. I think the part that was a little surprising for me was the fact that it was 5 Black cops. But it's getting to the point where I'm so used to Black men being attacked in this manner that it's numbing. It's like I'm brainwashed to think that this is normal. Like an everyday, okay, another Black man. Prior to me sitting in front of the laptop, my husband was on the phone with a friend and they were sharing war stories about the times that they've been stopped by cops. And my husband always tells a story about when he was in his 20s walking down the street and 2 undercover cops came up to him and one of them put a gun in his face and said, I should blow your brains out of your head. And he did not do anything. So this is just a normal thing for Black men that's been going on for years. So the part that was surprising was these 5 Black men. Now, you can tell. It don't take a genius to figure this out. That was not their first rodeo.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier, I was watching Stephen A. Smith, and he made a valid point. So for anyone that watched, I watched the footage on CNN, and it was 4 videos that CNN had. And they were clever in the way they showed the footage because they showed you from the cops' camera and the body cam, and then the last one was from that camera on the pole. So which showed the truth.
The sky cam.
Sky cam.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Stephen A. Smith said something that was so deep that I didn't think about this. Watch from the body cam, the whole time they're saying, put your hands behind your back, put your hands behind your back.
But they were holding them.
Right.
In reality,
they were holding his hand.
His hands were already behind his back. So if you simultaneously put the body cam video next to the sky cam video, while they were saying put your hands behind your back, that's when they were beating him up, punching him in his face, kicking him in his face, taking a stick and beating him up. So I say that to say that this Scorpion Squad are professionals in attacking people in that manner. They had a whole skit. So they probably would cover up their camera as they jacking people up and spew out things so that later on when their footage is being watched by their higher ups, their bosses, they already have the verbiage to show that the person who we were attacking deserved every ounce of what was taking place.
Yeah, because they kept on saying that, yeah, he had the hand on the gun. He had his hand on my gun, and that's why I had it. And everybody was just like, but the video shows otherwise, but you could hear them saying it.
Another real quick point I want to put out there is that initially, because I'm so brainwashed at this, initially when I saw the very first video, instantly I said to myself, at this point, with everything that has gone on with Black men and cops, we as Black people know there's a certain way you have to perform around these cops. Mm-hmm. So when they tell you to lay down on your stomach and put your hands behind your back, you're not even supposed to ask questions because you're a Black person.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you are a human being and a non-Black person, you can ask all the questions you want. But Black people don't have that right. So it's sad that we as a culture cannot be humans when we're stopped by the cops. We're not allowed to ask any questions. If we ask one question, is deemed as disrespectful.
Insubordinate, all of those.
And he was saying, "You're doing too much. I'm on the ground. I'm like." But still, and you know, anybody that I know, there's a lot of non-Black people watching the video are saying, "Why did he run?"
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna tell you something. If somebody drags me out of my car after I was sitting in front of where he was somewhere watching the sunset, minding his business, that was his regular routine every night. So if that's my regular routine, I go watch the sunset, and I'm driving down the street, and somebody stops me and drags me out of my car and starts tasing me and spraying me pepper spray, I'm gonna hop up and run too. But that's what human beings are allowed to do, not Black people.
Mm-hmm.
People who ask questions like that in regards to why did he run don't actually understand. And because they're Black, you would think that they get it. So a person who, because I've, in discussion with people, I've heard the same thing. Well, why did he run? He should have just did whatever. It's kind of like, look, you've never been in a situation where you've done absolutely nothing wrong and stuff is happening. In your mind, it's like, let me, at least for me, I don't even run for like safety. I'm just literally like, yo, let me just get somewhere where other people might see me.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
This way something won't happen because I
Right.
didn't do anything.
Right.
I remember my brother used to tell me, he was like, yo, I get harassed by cops all the time. I will not pull over if there's nobody around. Like, I will drive until I find a place where there's people at.
Right.
And I do the same thing. And the cop will like, why didn't you stop? Bro, there was no way I was stopping where you pulled me over. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
It's like, yeah, I'll get out I was like, look, I totally understand that seems suspect. I will get out this car and you can search it. I will let you do whatever you want. I'm just letting you know I wasn't stopping back there where there was nobody at. So
Right.
it's nice and bright over here. You know what I'm saying? We at the gas station, there's people walking around. I feel a lot more comfortable here. So the same way you move for you, I move for me. Even it's people just don't get it. And to some degree, I don't even expect them to get it. As far as this unit, I mean, as an individual who's been stopped by cops, thank God, like it hasn't really happened as of late. But I mean, it's just, I used to get stopped by cops like what felt like 3-4 times a day. Well, where you going? Why do you got money? Why are you doing this? Why you live here and all this other stuff? You end up just getting thrown in jail for no reason, just sitting in the cell waiting like, yo, man, I don't even know why I'm in here, bro. Like, what are we doing right now? I've been told the craziest things as to why they took me in and all types of stuff. Like, I remember calling my brother. I was like, yo, man, need you to come get me. He was like, come get you. Like, what are you talking about? Like, yo, man, cops got me, bro. He's like, what'd you do? Nothing.
I was Black.
I was
literally
Black.
like nothing. It was like, he was like, nothing. I was just like, nigga, I was sitting at a light. I didn't do anything. You know what I'm saying? It's just like that. It's so regular that you just like, and you're sitting in the back of the car and the cop is asking you a ton of questions. So, do you have any DUIs? Do you owe child support? Do you this? Do you that? And it's like, no. And it's kind of just like, if you're asking me all these questions, why am I in the car?
Yeah.
And what did that have to do with the stop?
And so it's kind of just one of those situations where it's like, look, bro, I already know you're operating outside the lines, which tells me if I get crazy in here, you probably have no issue shooting me. So I'm gonna just chill and ride it out. Like whatever. Like, yo, I remember I was in the Bronx and this lady they took me in, and this Black lady was in the front, and she like runs up to me and she's like, are you okay? Did anybody hurt you? Are you all right? I was just like, nah. She's like, what'd you do? And I was just like, I didn't do anything. She's just like, okay. She's like, I'm gonna see what I can do to get you out of here. I was like, cool. And at the time I was on my way to my girlfriend's house, who's now my wife. And when I was on the phone with her, I was just like, yo, I'm parking my car. And then I never show up.
Mm.
Wow.
So she just so happened to walk to the police station. And she was just like, I walked in, I started asking questions, and then they were like, yeah, he in the back. And then eventually my brother hit me up and he's like, yo, I'm on the way or whatever. Well, I guess he was calling my phone and all this other stuff. So when I got out and I got my phone, he had texted like, yo, I'm on the way and all this other stuff. And I was just like, yo, it's cool, I got out or whatever. But folks don't understand. When people ask certain questions, it's very evident you just don't know what it's like to be bothered for no reason. So you run so there's other people around to see you or to help you or to whatever the case may be, because it might be false hope, but you kind of feel like if there's people around, you're probably not going to shoot me.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, there's that listening to the footage, watching the tape, it's very evident these dudes have done this before.
Yes.
You're giving commands that can't actually happen. Put your hands behind your back. Well, your man's is holding them.
Right.
Lay on the ground. Nigga, I'm on the ground.
Right.
You're on top of me. And he's holding my hands. Stop resisting. Well, you got a knee on my back. He's got my hands. This other dude's sitting on my foot, and your man just kicked me in the face. Like 71 commands that served no purpose
At all.
And y'all stood here. You jumped this dude. That's the way to me, it looked like a regular modern day, yo, we about to jump this nigga.
Yep.
That was a gang type jump.
I thought they probably knew him.
Personally, I feel like there's more to the story. Like somebody who didn't do anything wrong and you can't find anything, he must have saw y'all doing something you weren't supposed to be doing, or whatever the case may be, because you went and found this dude and one of you was literally holding him while the others were beating him.
I heard some stories like that. They agreed with what you're saying right now.
To me, even though they got charged with second-degree murder, I feel like you only got charged with second-degree murder because he didn't die on the scene. It was 3 days later. Had he died that night, to me, it's first-degree murder all the way. Because it just didn't make sense. It didn't make sense. And for me, the only thing worse than racist white cops are, I don't even want to say racist black cops, but black cops who feel like they're above the law once they put on the uniform.
But it's not about being Black. It's about that they put blue first. It's like as soon as you become a cop, that is first is blue and then it's my race.
I watched that video and I literally was just like, yo, I don't want to say I couldn't believe it, but I was just like, yo, this is embarrassing. Like I just felt embarrassed to watch it. I was just like, look at these dudes. I was like, look at these dudes.
They were out of shape. Let's talk about that.
They were 200 pounds. He weighed 140.
He was very slender. He was very slender. Very slender frame.
All one had to do was lay directly on his back, huffing and
well, the one thing that literally, because I didn't watch the actual video of what they did to him, but I did watch what happened afterwards. And just seeing these mofos high-fiving each other like they just won the World Series or the finals.
They were laughing, all of that.
Or the Super Bowl. I was like, what? And when I watched Chief Davis's press conference and how she was explaining what the video looked like, obviously trying to get us all prepared on what we were about to see, those who watched it. And she was just like, it was something that I never experienced in all my years of service. And she was just like, any human is like, if you don't watch that and are like appalled as a human, then it's just, you're not human.
But she know what she's doing. This ain't her first rodeo either. She
I
had her
know.
last group in Atlanta disbanded for the same type of stuff. So
I know. But it's just that, and it reminds me of the whole Freddie Gray situation in Baltimore. You have the George Floyd situation, and that was a multicultural group of bastards. You know what I'm saying? But the fact that the majority of the people that were involved in this looked like him.
Yeah.
Like you had Bloods and Crips. You know what I'm saying? That part is what pissed me off. Like, this was Steven from Django. This was that type of heinous crime. It's us that does the worst.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And let's go a step further. What's his name? Whitlock Johnson or so? He made this he made the
what's his name?
this nigga got on
Jason
TV
Whitlock.
trying to blame single
Jason
mothers.
Whitlock.
He made-
Jason Whitlock.
whatever his name is. I don't even know who that nigga is. Excuse my language. But for the fact that you're gonna sit there and say this is because of single mother.
We had a president raised by a single mother.
First of all, I know plenty of single mothers and their children don't do that.
Stop it. But yet, I know people who were raised in a two-parent home who's serving time.
It was straight up.
So it's like,
demon
stop it.
spawns.
So stop
That's
it.
also showing you how Black women aren't protected in this either. You made a whole situation that we didn't have nothing to do with it.
And started blaming Black women.
And start blaming this on Black women. Somebody must have broken your heart.
It's like Nene. How I get pulled into this?
And I thought he was actually turning the corner too, because his last few takes were actually good ones, and then he
here he goes.
came with this one. I was just like, well, there's the man that I know.
6 steps back. That's when you got to be like, shut your dumb ass up. Like,
Just feel like, just go sit down somewhere.
I remember this is way back in, in the 90s.
I was about to say, way back in 89.
The cops, they came to school. It was a high school, they came to talk, and one of the cops said, if you want to join a gang, the NYPD. He actually said that.
You want to join a gang?
He said, if you want to join a gang, and
no.
this is years ago. This is in the 90s.
And the sad part, he was serious too.
But see, the thing is, there is no accountability on any level when it comes to police oversight, because of the fact that even now, when lawmakers were questioned on some of these news shows about what can be done in regards to this, and they're just like, training can't help what these guys did. Laws can't help what these guys did. What do you mean? What do you mean? Mandatory minimums helped what happened with us. When you change laws and it's just like one strike, you're out, guess what? Things change. When you put people away for doing stuff that they're not supposed to do, when you hold people accountable and there's laws put in place for doing stuff that they're not supposed to do for the citizens that they are sworn to protect and serve, what are you talking about?
They can go like a Derek Chauvin who murdered George Floyd. They can go from city to city, and their record doesn't travel.
Which is crazy.
With them.
That's not right.
There's something in the police, policing is that they have immunity.
The person that shot Tamir Rice was fired in one town and then came
to the other town.
to the town that he was in. What was it? Some town in Ohio, and then went and killed Tamir, a 12-year-old boy.
We got the body cams now. We have the recording of the police interrogations in most states. What they don't have is the yearly mental exams. I think everybody needs a mental health exam to find out if they got any type of psychiatric needs, because after a certain time on the job, that blue live stuff start to them to take over. Yeah, and I think that if they were, mentally checked on a regular, I think that would also be a help, because obviously the 3 days of a PowerPoint is not.
Listen,
but
we've come to a point in this country that it's the tipping point has come. I feel like with Trayvon Martin, the tipping point has been come, but you can literally send tanks, war tanks, 31 war tanks to Ukraine. Yeah, I said it. You can send war tanks to fight for Russia. But you can literally let your own citizens within the country be gunned down and be slain by the same people that were hired
by us,
by the taxpayers.
It's the taxpayers' money.
The same taxes that you use to send these same war machines over to Ukraine. But you can't protect the same citizens on their own soil
that voted for you?
Yeah.
Where they do that at?
But this is, in the words of, this is far bigger than Nino Brown. This is a systemic thing. It's about the water in Flint. It's about not enough funding in schools. It's a systemic thing. So you can
have those two cops on video, because whatever in New York, because whoever house that was had cameras in their room. Those two cops was in the house stealing $6,000 out of their bedroom, and them two cops is not the only cops that be stealing from other people.
Oh yeah, a lot of corrupt ones out there.
Oh, these cops be out here getting paid, stealing from citizens. However, you have Ron DeSantis out here talking about, oh, you can't teach African American studies in Florida. You have George Santos out here. You was a freaking cross-dresser, a fake Holocaust surviving descendant, but yet you serving on the Senate. You like, it's corruption all over the globe, all over this country, but yet we can't even get protected by the police in our own communities.
Yo, like, that dude said his mom died in 2003.
What you said?
And his mom is living?
This nigga said his mother said his mom died in 2003. She didn't even live in the country. And if I'm not mistaken, she died in 2016. This nigga said she died in 2003. It was to gain some
sympathy vote.
How do you lie about that?
When you throwing up the white supremacy symbol, listen.
Can we talk about his mother? What's that? How she prayed for the 5 cops and their family.
She said,
Did she?
That's what she said.
yeah,
She prayed.
she said on an interview that she feels sorry for them and their families because she said now they brought shame on their families and they put a target on their families' backs.
That's what I was going to say. I was just like, when you think about possibly doing something, none of that goes in your head. Like, I know this is going to cause an uproar. I know my family are going to be a target. You know what? Even though I might have that thought in my head, you know what? For the sake of them, I'm going to just chill. You don't even do that. You don't even care.
Nah,
I can see you like when you're fighting for justice and you and your family has a target on their back because you're fighting for justice. You're fighting for the good of, the people. Yeah. That's one thing. But when you doing you killing people for no reason that you're supposed to protect and serve, my dude.
And one of the things, my heart goes out to his mother because it would haunt me until the day I die to know that my child was 150 feet from my house
and calling for her,
getting attacked, and I could not help my child. I would that
calling for her
because she's probably beating herself in the head. And what happens sometimes in these neighborhoods when you see the cop lights up the street is so normal to you that me in my neighborhood, I'm like, ooh, cop lights, let's go. I'm outside looking like a deer, like what's going on?
Who that is? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to know. But she probably was so immune to that in her neighborhood that it probably was just like, oh, they at it again, doing whatever, God knows what. Not realizing it was her baby on the ground getting attacked, calling her name. So my heart and my prayers go out to the mother that God can ease her heart and she does not blame herself for any of this.
She didn't know originally.
Huh?
She didn't know because when they were doing the interview with her, what's the name of the lawyer? Brent?
Ben Crump.
Brent Crump.
Yeah.
So he told her, he was just like, the interviewer had asked her, it was Don Lemon, I think. He had asked her some questions, just about what she thought. And she's like, I haven't seen the video, but from what I've heard, it's pretty serious. And then Ben Crump was like, just so you know, the last words that he said was him screaming out for you 3 times. And you could just see in her, she started crying when he told her that. And you could just tell it was just like,
my God.
I would have lost it.
Yeah.
Like,
as a mom,
I think it was actually kind of weird because when I was watching the video, I watched the 31-minute video from, I think it was from some pole that was like right outside, right off the block. And in my mind, I was sitting there like, in those states, I'm pretty sure you can have guns and all that other stuff. I don't know if I can sit back, look through my window, see that, and not start shooting. Like, and I'm sitting there like, that's probably not the best thing to do. But I don't think I could just sit back
like
and
5
watch
on 1.
Because it's not like they were in some kind of tussle. It was literally 5 dudes holding one person down and just beating the life out of him.
Yeah.
Literally.
Taking turns.
Like, in my mind, I'm just like, nah, son, I got to bust off some shots. Whether it's in the air.
Warning shot. Yeah, warning shot or something.
Like, and if it don't work, then I'm going to just have to start shooting at people. Because you just look at it like, nah, son, this is crazy. Like, that's crazy. And then for me, I know they charge 5 people, but I need all 10 folks that I saw that I counted in the video. There was 10 of them. I need everybody. Whether they get fired.
The Caucasian cop said, I hope they stomp him out.
Yeah,
there was Caucasian cops. There was EMTs. All the people who was there.
And the 3 EMTs were fired.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody was in there laughing and joking and talking. I'm sitting here like, all right, somebody just leaned him up and my man fell over. Clearly, that's not a good sign. But
Right.
nobody's even offering, like, I don't see any wound cleaning. I don't even see a bag of ice.
That was
I
like a
don't know
lynching.
how.
That was a lynching when they
Like,
had.
are y'all so overwhelmed with your job that you don't care about the lives anymore? Like you handle so many cases every day that you're like, oh, here we go and again with this, like every case you get, you don't care about the person anymore. You just see another nigga, on the street. Oh, here we go again. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not trying to hear the pepper spray stuff either. Like
Yeah.
that's what we were told. Nigga,
Oh, what? A
you
person
can see him. Like, this does not look like an individual that was pepper sprayed.
Yeah.
And in the video, nobody went up to him. This
Right.
man was literally, the only person that went up to him was the dude. He was leaning against the car. He fell over to the left. Dude went over to him, picked him back up. He fell right over to his right. And then they just left him while everybody's just talking. I'm just sitting there looking at it because the 31-minute video doesn't have sound. But as you watch it, it's just like, yo, is nobody gonna help this dude? Like, it's just confusing because you're wondering, like, yo, like, at some point somebody's gonna go help him, and nobody does.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now they have to deal with the fact of going to prison and probably being in solitary most of the time.
You know them.
They
No,
won't be able to
no.
in Gen
I
Pop.
want them to be in
They're
Gen
not going to be.
Pop.
They won't put them in
General population.
general population. They won't, because they know
Father
they're not
God,
going to make it.
Please.
Niggas is better than me.
They're not going to
please,
put them
God.
they're not.
I'm not
gonna
putting
put
nobody
them
in prison. I'm taking
Gen
these niggas
Pop.
out old school style. We putting them right there in the out there on the street against the wall. We shooting these niggas. I'm sorry. So, like, that's how mad I was. I was like, nah, so we doing the old school public execution.
Yeah.
No, it gotta be long and drawn out. They can't.
And we all gonna make it long and drawn out. We gonna shoot
I
these
think
niggas
getting
in their
shot in the
legs.
head is too easy.
Nah, we ain't shooting in the head. Ain't no headshots.
No, it gotta be long and
so
drawn out.
We starting from the outside and working our way in.
Let it last a long time.
They are not gonna put them in Gen Pop. They will be under protective.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I need them in like Rikers or something. Like,
Yeah, they be
Rikers. The charges are federal?
It doesn't say. It doesn't say.
All right. So it depends on the prison, because you have to be within a certain amount of miles from home. So they can only
I
go
hope it's state
so far.
I hope it's state.
If it's state, yeah.
I hope it's state.
You would want to go to federal.
I hope it's state.
You would want to go more to the federal than the state prison.
I hope it's state.
But I'll say this for those who did watch the video, I didn't. Just make sure that you are doing what's necessary to take care of your own mental health, because there are studies that show that watching these videos over and over again, they do cause trauma. And because when you see the video, you don't necessarily see the person that's there. What you're seeing is your brother, your sister, your nephews, your nieces, your sons, so just to everyone out there, just make sure that at the end of the day that you are doing what's necessary to take care of your own mental health.
That's a good point, Sean, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I think sometimes people can overwatch news, and there needs to be a balance.
Yeah.
I watched that video one time. That joint was enough for me. I mean, it was 31 minutes long, but It was
Yeah,
enough.
no, I refuse to watch it. After seeing that, for me, after seeing just the shot, the one photo of Derek Chauvin's face on George Floyd's neck, it was like on the timeline. It was just that every time you scrolled, it was always on the TV. Ever since then, I was like, I can't.
Because the one cop, well, I think there's two cops that had issues prior. The one that was he was a correctional officer before this, and I guess they spoke to one of the inmates where he was an officer previously, and the inmate literally called him the most vicious officer that was there. And then another one was he's a Q, as a matter of fact.
You know, it's funny that you say that because I saw when one of them was driving, I saw he had his band on. So I noticed that. I was like, oh, he's a Q dog.
Yeah, and he has a history of extremely violent hazing. So I mean, this is who these dudes are. My issue with them, outside of what they did, and outside of it being embarrassing to Black people, is that I feel like they set, I don't know if I want to call it the movement, but I'll just call it that for the time being. I feel like they set the movement back like drastically because you've given white people, at least the bad ones and the cops and all, or the bad ones out there, you've given them the out at saying, yo,
see, it's Black people too.
And it's just like, yo, man, like having to now explain, I don't want to say explain this, but deal with it. And then having that part of the conversation come up where it's like, see, look at your own people. See, y'all doing this. It's not just us. And it's just like, like, I don't even think y'all realize what y'all did.
No, I'm glad you brought that up because one of the things that a lot of people were saying on the news was that, yes, we are so glad that the video came out. This happened 20-something days ago. But other incidences where other cultures have been beaten up on Black men, it takes forever for the videos to come out. They got to do it. They're still investigating and asking questions and investigating. And how come
Like
they never come out?
Like it took them to come the white officer that was tasing him. See how long after his story came out about the situation.
Yeah, but so the thing was, they said, you know, we're grateful that you are now all of a sudden being transparent, but why it has to be transparent now when there's 5 Black cops that attack a Black man versus when now look at Nancy Pelosi's husband. Yeah. And Stephen A. Smith made a point how that man literally knocked Nancy Pelosi's husband with a hammer in the head, and he was taken down like a human being.
Yep.
They should have shot his behind because that's in the house of someone who's a high official. And he literally was in the house, and he does not look anything like what this guy looked like in the hospital.
Because the niggas are stupid, and they think because they put on a blue uniform, that makes them equal to the white dudes that are there. It's like them niggas ain't falling on no sword for you,
right? They don't care.
So, and that's what I meant, like in regards to like those Black dudes with that kind of mentality and behavior as these guys are nothing more than chameleons. They sit in your neighborhood because they blend in.
Yep.
You think you're safe with them or more safe with them, and you're not. So it's one of them situations where it's like, yo, man, like them dudes, they don't even understand what they did. They really don't understand what they just did.
But you know what? The mother said something so profound. She said that her son was sent here to do a job, and his job is done, and he went back home. So what her son's job was to expose cops like those 5 dudes, because unfortunately, across America, there are more of those same black cops than we think. More of these house niggas than we think. So all the house niggas that are serving the blue community, you just got your nigga wake up call. And I hope you learn a lesson from what your 5 comrades did. And I pray that you will stop your rhetoric and stop attacking these black men in these communities. What I would love to happen, because I would bet $1 million that I don't have, is that this Scorpion Squad has had multiple victims that never reported it to the public.
I'm sure they'll probably come through now.
I pray that it gets exposed, because that whole department needs to be shut down.
Oh, it was.
Okay. Yeah.
It's been shut down. It's been disbanded, and they are looking at other of those
types of departments within
the country to, you know.
But my question is, in a situation like this, and in so many situations like this within the country that have happened, where's the ACLU? Where is where?
They're there.
Where?
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 What do you mean?
Where's the ACL? I mean, I know the NAACP was part of one of the press conferences, the United Nations even, because this is genocide. This is genocide. This is genocide of an entire race. Yes, we can talk about the Holocaust and what has happened to a group of people, you know, in Europe those years ago, but what is consistently happening to a group of people currently within this country every single day by elected officials and by paid officials of the government. You know what I'm saying? There has to be something. And honestly, I call on other countries within the diaspora that look like us to now step up and say, hey, I know we didn't open our mouths before.
Yes.
But we need to step up and open our mouths now. And we need to say, we need to hold the US government accountable for its crimes against our people. Enough is enough already.
True, but it's going to be hard because a lot of those other countries are, you know, British and English owned and ran.
Well, didn't we just find vibranium in one of them?
You ain't never lied.
Look.
It's found the glowing rocks. I'm about to get a heart shaver about this piece.
Can I just send some love to all the moms of the movement, like Sabrina Fulton and Tamika Palmer, who is Breonna Taylor's mom. She found out that they were born on the same day. Breonna Taylor, and Tyre Nichols were born on the exact same day of the exact same year. And she was basically inconsolable. Because I'm sure it's like now she has to read, you know, and it's just like, will they ever heal?
You know, on a spiritual level, that's a message from God. He sent them to do a job.
It's so crazy that it seems as if America in America, you're more likely to be either killed by a bullet or at the hands of police than you are to have a natural death.
That's one way to put it.
Because that's how corrupt and crazy this country is.
I mean, police, they don't, it's such a, I don't even know if you can fix it, but policing is such a reactive thing. It's not really a proactive kind of
Reactive.
establishment or whatever you want to call it. Like, them niggas don't fix problems.
No.
Like, you call them after the problem has already happened, and they kind of make it worse sometimes. So, or they just create the problem themselves and then sweep it under the rug. So, I mean,
no, police is proactive. We're about to abolish slavery. We got to create the police so we can lock these mofos up and put them in jail.
that's one way to put it.
Sounds about right. No, sounds about white.
But as Kirk Franklin said, to all my people in the struggle, you think God's forgotten about you. Here's some pain medicine.
I think they got to do better with responding to stuff too, because too many complaints have been made about this unit, about these officers, and nothing was done about it.
It's the cover up after a cover up after a cover up after a cover up.
Because the first thing they care about is blue. So they will always protect you.
But we need to get some new people in internal affairs, because them niggas ain't doing their job.
You have the DA that's appointed to work with the police, and the DA, the police won't testify for the DA if the DA is not. It's too much intertwining, and then the judge won't get elected if it's too much intermingling and in cahoots. It's too much.
Oh yeah,
it's too much. The whole system got to be broken down and revamped, because it cannot sustain the way it is.
Well, the system is doing what it's supposed to do. The system now is not broken. It's been set in place to do exactly what it was supposed to do.
Using slaves as the slave catchers.
There you go.
Overseer.
There you go.
Shout out to KRS. And prayers and just prayers, just to all of us, to the family of Tyre Nichols, and just to the diaspora as a whole. Keep your head up. You know, I know it's not easy
at all,
but it's not hopeless. As long as we got each other, let's keep the dialogue open and continuing. All right, don't give up. All we got is us.